Tom and Extra both start the turn with a land, while Sam has a bit of a head start, playing a land of his own and enchanting it with a wild growth. Last but not least is John, who plays a Shivan Reef and gives the turn back to Tom. Tom then plays a swamp and casts a Fellwar Stone, giving the turn over to Extra. Extra plays an island and brings out his commander, Mendicant Core, Guidelight, triggering his effect to move his speed to 1. After that, he passes. Sam first casts an Elvish Visionary, drawing as it enters, followed by a tapped Steam Vents, and a pass to John, who plays an island and casts a Talisman of Creativity to round out his turn. Tom plays a Plains, followed by his own commander, Ketramose, the New Dawn, before passing it over to Extra. Extra plays an Inventor's Fair, then casts the Metallic Duo of Azorius Signet and Talisman of Progress, buffing up Mendicant and sending him at Tom's direction, increasing his speed to 2. With nothing else to do, he gives the turn to Sam. Sam plays an island and casts an Elvish Refueler, followed by a move to combat, attacking Extra with Visionary, and passing to John, who plays a mountain and ends his turn with his commander, Captain Howler, Sea Scourge. Tom then plays a Plains and casts a Leonin Relic Warden, using its effect to exile his own Fellwar Stone, triggering Ketramose to lose 1 life and draw a card. Next he casts a Flicker Wisp, having its effect target Leonin. In response, Extra pays 1 life to cast the Swords to Plowshares, exiling Leonin, and triggering Tom's commander once more to lose 1 life and draw a card. With all that out of the way, he gives the turn over to Extra. On Extra's upkeep, Fair triggers to gain 1, followed by main phase Thran Dynamo, and Mystic Forge, again growing Mendicant, which is now sent at Sam, revving up the speed to 3. With nothing else to do, he passes. Sam plays a Bark Channel Pathway and casts a Seedborn Muse, alongside a move to combat where Visionary and Refueler go at Extra, before moving the turn to John. John first casts a Grab the Prize, discarding a card to draw 2, triggering Howler to give himself +2/+0. Next he casts a Key to the City, using its effect to discard a card and make Howler unblockable, again triggering his effect to buff himself. He goes to combat and sends Howler at Extra, triggering his effect 2 times to draw 2 cards. Lastly, he plays a tapped Thundering Falls, surveilling to the graveyard, and passing back to Tom. Tom plays a Tainted Field, then starts clearing out graveyards with an Emperor of Bones and Lord Skitter's Sewer King. At the start of combat, Emperor triggers first, exiling Wonder, having Ketramose lose 1 life and draw, while Lord Skitter makes a rat, exiles another card, and draws a final card with Ketramose. He proceeds with combat, attacking Extra with Flicker Wisp, before passing him the turn. On Extra's upkeep, Fair triggers to gain 1 life, which is immediately used in his main phase to activate Forge, exiling his top card. Next he plays an island, and sends his Mendicant to John, maxing out his speed. With his commander now online, he casts a Bronze Guardian, triggering Mendicant to make a copy, followed by a Nettle Cyst, making a Germ, and a pass to Sam. Sam plays an island, and casts his commander, Loot the Pathfinder, which immediately charges in John's direction alongside all his other creatures. In his second main, he casts a 1000-Year Elixir using Loot, and gives the turn over to John. John plays a Riverglide Pathway, then starts off with a Cathartic Reunion, discarding 2 to draw 3, triggering Howler to give itself +4/+0. Next he activates his key, discarding to make Howler unblockable, making Howler bigger once more, then tops it off with a Change of Fortune, discarding his 4 remaining cards to draw a total of 7, while giving Howler another 8 power. Having fully buffed up his shark, John sends him at the scary looking Extra, taking him out with commander damage, and drawing another 3 cards from Howler. Having successfully taken out a player, he goes to his end step, where Sam activates Loot to draw 3 cards. Tom plays a Plains, followed by a Grasp of Fate, going for both Howler and Loot, while paying 2 life and Ward for the Shark. In response, Sam activates Loot to deal 3 damage to Lord Skitter, then tries to save his commander with a Displace, targeting Visionary and Loot. Tom also has a response of his own, casting a D-Spark on Loot, with Sam accepting his fate, using Elixir to untap Loot and make a final 3 green. The D-Spark then resolves, triggering Ketramose to lose 1 and draw, followed by a Grasp Resolution, triggering Ketramose once more. We then finally move to combat, where Emperor exiles Skitter, triggering Ketramose, followed by an attack with Flicker Wisp at Sam and Rat at John, before passing the turn. Sam plays a Willow Rush Verge and goes for a double cast of both an Aetheric Alchemist and Circuit Mender, which gains 2 life upon entering. He goes to combat, sending Visionary at John and Refueler plus Muse at Tom, using Refueler's effect to add a counter, giving him a bit more of a punch. After that, he gives the turn to John, who repeats his turn 3, playing an island and casting his commander, Captain Howler, Sea Scourge. Tom plays a command tower, then casts a Dusk Legion Zealot, losing 1 and drawing a card. He goes straight to combat, using Emperor to exile Kiora, triggering Ketramose to draw, followed by an activation of said Emperor to gain 2 counters, and have the Kiora enter with a finality counter, triggering its effect to draw and discard 2 cards. Next he attacks Sam with Flicker Wisp and John with his own Kiora, before going to the end step, exiling Kiora and triggering Ketramose 1 final time. Sam plays a Forest and recasts his commander, Loot the Pathfinder, using his effect to make 3 green, followed by Alchemist to untap Loot, which is used yet again in order to cast a Quantum Misalignment targeting Loot. Not wanting to see any additional loot, John responds with a Lightning Axe, discarding a card for cost, taking out Loot. With his plans ruined, Sam gives the turn over to John. John first casts a Thrill of Possibility, discarding a card to draw 2, triggering Howler to get a buff. Next he casts an Izzet Charm, drawing 2, discarding 2, and triggering Howler for an extra +4/+0. He plays a command tower, then finishes it off with an activation of Key, discarding a card to make Howler unblockable and slightly bigger with his own effect. All maxed out, Howler is sent to Tom, who responds with a Cloud Shift, targeting his Flicker Wisp. John has a response of his own, casting a Chaos Warp on Flicker Wisp, turning it into an Obsidian Ghost Council, which triggers upon entering, draining each opponent for 2. The attack then connects, triggering Howler to draw 3, followed by a second main Marauding Mako, paying 1 life, and a pass back to Tom. Tom plays a Plains, then casts a Callous Blood Mage, exiling his own graveyard, triggering Ketramose to draw. He proceeds to combat, exiling a card with Emperor and drawing another card with Ketramose, before sending his entire army at John, forcing him to block Obsidian with his Mako. In his second main, he casts another round for X=1, which is met by a rapid hybridization from Sam, destroying Obsidian. Another round then resolves, triggering Ketramose and Dusk Legion Zealot to lose 2 and draw 2, while the Blood Mage makes a Pest. After that, the turn goes to Sam, who decides to go straight to combat, sending Refueler, Mender, and Muse at John, taking him out. Having gotten rid of a player, Sam recasts his commander, Loot the Pathfinder, and gives the turn to Tom. Tom plays a Shattered Sanctum, followed by both a Wall of Omens, drawing a card on ETB, and a Palace Jailer, making Tom the Monarch and exiling Muse. This triggers Ketramose to draw, followed by an activation of Loot to take out Emperor before another card can be exiled. Tom then goes to combat, sending Ketramose at Sam, followed by a second main Charming Prince, exiling his Jailer, again triggering Ketramose, and a move to his end step, having him return Jailer to play, exiling loot, and drawing one last card with Ketramose. Struggling to see a way out, Sam casts a Wall of Blossoms to draw one final card, before conceding to the overwhelming board state that Tom has managed to assemble.